Broncos GM George Paton at his first combine in person as a general manager. How do you think his first year has gone in Denver?
I think that certainly George Paton's done a phenomenal job beginning the building process there. You look at the draft that he had in year one, guys like Pat Surtain immediately stepping in and making a huge impact. Quinn Miners was a fantastic find. Javonte Williams looks like an absolute star. I mean, those are the building blocks you want. Now, as George would certainly be one of the first to tell you, you need to upgrade at the quarterback position. That's going to be a priority for them in the offseason. You also need another edge rusher on this team. You never have enough of that. So there's certainly a lot to accomplish, but when you make moves like they did with the Von Miller trade to amass additional draft capital, that gives you the flexibility, whatever you decide to do at the quarterback position, but also to go get good guys at other positions and continue upgrading that roster.
You know him probably about just as well as any media member. Where do you think his headspace is with that quarterback position?
When he said, I believe it was no stone unturned, he's serious about that. I mean, that's the way that you evaluate things. That's one thing that, going back to his days in Minnesota when he was assistant GM under Rick Spielman, that was always part of their process, was you explore everything, you talk to every team, you see what's out there, you question everything. George is very deliberate. He is very cerebral. He will talk through every single scenario, and he'll try to arrive at the best decision. And I think that the other thing, when you look at, making the hiring of Nathaniel Hackett and going through the head coaching process, the way they did it in a league that everybody's doing Zoom now, and you see some teams are still doing smaller groups. It's 3 people in the room. To have the collaborative process with a bunch of people, different backgrounds, people of color, women in the room, you arrive at better decisions when you have a diversity of opinion in the room. And so the fact that that's how he's approached things, I think he's going to approach everything on the personnel side too. Bounce things off people. It's not just the unilateral thing. Yes, he has the hammer. He's the GM, but he wants that input, and that's going to certainly guide him as he moves forward on what could be a franchise-turning type of a decision.
Yeah, he's certainly built that culture within the building. You look at the Broncos division here, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Justin Herbert, maybe Derek Carr still with the Raiders. Do you feel like the quarterback, if the Broncos got a guy, the rest of the roster is good enough that they might be able to win now?
Well, I think that the rest of the roster is built not just to win now, but to win going forward. I mean, I just name-checked 3 of the guys they had in last year's draft. Now you got all these picks in this year's draft. And again, you could eventually parlay some of that into a quarterback in a trade. You could package those picks, move up and down the board. They've got the flexibility to accomplish what they want to. But there's no question. I mean, the division's a bear. You got Patrick Mahomes, who's an MVP and a Super Bowl winner. And within the division, you got an up-and-comer in Justin Herbert. You've got, as you mentioned, Derek Carr with the Raiders right now, a veteran quarterback. There's a lot that you're going to have to compete with there. But, in terms of can they win? I mean, I haven't even mentioned the young wide receivers that they've got on the team and guys that they just re-signed. Again, Javonte Williams, I think, is, even though he was in a timeshare with Melvin Gordon this past season, the impact he can make, the physical tone that he's able to set. There's a lot of good building blocks there, but it's a quarterback league, and the Broncos need a quarterback.
And last one for you. I know you know the NFC North so well. You mentioned Hackett there. What kind of coach are the Broncos getting with him?
Nathaniel is a fascinating guy and somebody who I've talked to a lot of people about just because he was one of the young up-and-coming candidates. We knew that he was going to be in a mix for head coaching jobs. The way that he sees the game, the way that he processes things, the way that he teaches, and it comes across in the enthusiasm that you see from him, that's him. There are some guys who kind of, especially when they get into head coaching jobs, there's a level of they try to impersonate somebody they worked for before. They try to change their personality to adapt. Nathaniel's going to be authentically him all the time, and that's what everybody who's ever worked with him will tell you. And he's had success with lesser quarterbacks, with guys. I mean, nothing against Blake Bortles, but they went to an AFC Championship game and scored 45 points on the Steelers at Heinz Field with Blake Bortles as their quarterback. You go back to his days in Buffalo. I mean, everywhere that he's been, he's found ways. He's resourceful. And again, the way that he embraces technology, analytics, different teaching tools, the way that he mixes up the meetings, those meetings that he would do in Green Bay were the stuff of legend, the way that he would, bring the information to people and get guys excited. That's what it's all about. I mean, he was able to reach Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers became a huge proponent of him, a guy who's tough. I mean, any veteran quarterback is going to be, they're going to have their own way of doing things. And, the fact that he could get his ear and earn his trust to the point that last year when Hackett had an interview with the Falcons, Rodgers called the Falcons to say you need to hire the guy. That just shows you the level of trust he's able to build. And I'll tell you this, whatever was happening, may have happened under other regimes in the past, whatever happens in other buildings, everybody is going to be awake and in tune in a Nathaniel Hackett meeting because he's always going to make it interesting.
He definitely brings that energy. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
You got it.